Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Caroline Heward and I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert and a TV presenter at USA Global TV and Radio, as well as the resident therapist of USA Global TV and Radio. Our show today is Talking Heads, and I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is managing anxiety without medication. It's part of the Mind and Body Connection series. Let's begin. So what is anxiety? Now, lots of people, especially in our current times, have been diagnosed with anxiety and saying they're suffering with anxiety. So it seems to be a very common word that people are saying. So anxiety, it's a natural response when you're nervous. So if you think about if you have a test or an exam or a driving test, or you're going for an interview for a job, or you're going to make a speech, it's normal to feel a little fearful and nervous. And this is what anxiety feels like to the normal person, that they feel a little anxious, a little nervous, a little fearful. And then when they get going, they're usually okay. So this is usually when we're in fear of or in apprehension of a future event, something that's going to happen. So anxiety disorder it's normal to feel a little anxious, as I've just described. But when it's a disorder, it's when we start to feel more so, and it's more continued. And so it's sometimes when it's normal, it can actually motivate you. But when it's abnormal, when it's a disorder, it actually moves you into a place where it's uncomfortable and you're in a fearful situation for a prolonged period of time. And that's when it can cause some challenges for you. So if we look at being in fear for that prolonged period of time, it can almost seem like it's an unusual and abnormal way to feel fearful. And it can stop us doing things like stepping to an elevator, crossing a street, or even leaving your home or socializing. And if that's how you're feeling anxiety, then there is a challenge, and it is prolonged in terms of the fact that that isn't normal, especially if it's for around 6 months or longer. So some of the symptoms that are associated with anxiety. So when we have anxious thoughts, now let me just describe the thoughts. It's when we're focused and having a conversation in our mind. It's when there's a whole movie going on and there's a he said, she said, and if I do this, this might happen. If I don't do that, that might happen. And essentially, it's like a soap opera, and you're the main movie star of that soap opera. And there's all these conversations that are going on in your mind. But no one else is privileged to those conversations. So your mind can feel very, very busy. It's also hard to focus on anything in your present moment and in your present situation because you're so distracted by the conversation that's going on in your mind. This can cause restlessness in terms of being in conversation or being in situations where you will feel uncomfortable to stay there because you are otherwise preoccupied or engaged in that inner conversation, that inner dialogue. So this will give you a poor focus and poor concentration, and also for some cause a problem and difficulty in falling asleep. I want to look at sleeping in a much deeper way. If your mind is constantly focused and constantly in conversation, in your normal day, there is distractions, there are things going on, and you can be very heavily distracted. But what about when you go to bed at night? There is those distractions are not there anymore. And because they're not there, you're left with whatever you're thinking about, that whole movie that's playing out. So there is no conversation with you talking to anybody externally, and there is no external activity. There is just you in your bedroom, in bed, trying to sleep. And this is because you're thinking and analysing and focusing on your thoughts of future thoughts of what if you did this, if you don't do that, this might happen, that might happen. And this focus on future things can start to create tension and anxiety, even though you're not in the situation. And this can cause a challenge in falling asleep because the mind is still active. The mind is still going. It's literally not able to let you fall asleep because it's still going, it's still thinking. And it's important to find a way to relax, to calm the mind so that you can sleep, because sleep is essential. It's essential for your everyday focused concentration and living. If you are not sleeping adequately, it will cause challenges in terms of your energy or your lack of energy, your focus. It can cause brain fog, and it will cause a lot of restlessness in terms of how you respond and how you feel in different situations in your normal daily activity. It will also cause a considerable amount of irritability because you will be trying to jump over all the hoops to get normal things done. It can also give you unexplained aches and pains, like headaches, and your head will literally ache with the amount of thoughts that are running around that you can't stop. So some common symptoms of anxiety disorders are there's a feeling of nervousness, there's a feeling of hopelessness, or a feeling that you are burdensome to others around you. There will be an impending fear of panic in terms of whatever is coming up or not coming up, but it'll be coming up in your mind. So if you're focused on something that's not happened yet, and you are thinking about, what about this, what about that, if I do this, that might not work, well, if I do that, then I might lose money on that. And the mind is just really focused on all the different scenarios. And hence, when the mind is very busy, focused on all these scenarios, it can actually create palpitations, it can create a feeling of nervousness, irritability, and that word anxiety. It can make you feel very nervous about doing anything and almost put you into a place of inertia that you don't do anything because you're feeling so anxious about all the different scenarios. It can give you that feeling of a danger of doom, that when this happens, it's going to cause you severe conflict. Nothing has happened. Nothing. And that's the point. It's all in your mind. Nothing has taken place for you to feel this way. It's only in your thinking, your analysing, and your thoughts your internal conversation. Nothing has happened. It's internal. And yet it can create hyperventilation where you can't breathe because you're fighting your way. And I use the analogy, fighting your way out of a paper bag, that it's difficult to fight your way out. It's almost like you wind yourself up like a little spinning top until you can't wind yourself up anymore. And then you continue to hyperventilate, continue to find the breathing really difficult. Now, when we're in that state of anxiety and hypertension, the breathing becomes very, very shallow. And because the breathing becomes shallow, you start to tremble. And then you continue to obsessively think about the things that might not work if you do this or that, and about the panic, the trigger that's making you panic. Can you see? This is a crazy situation, and yet it's real. It's completely real for many people, and it's all fabricated because of your thinking, analysing, internal conversation. So I want to give you some thoughts as to what you could avoid, the things that you could avoid to give you coping mechanisms, because there are certain things that you can do that will stop this feeling of anxiety that affects you. My number one tip is to avoid alcohol. You might drone at me and think, oh no, that always makes me feel relaxed. Yes, it might make you feel relaxed, but it's a false relaxation. What it does is it makes you feel worse because it is also a stimulant. Many people feel relaxed and they open up socially when they've had alcohol, but it has a detrimental effect because it relaxes as well as stimulates. Avoid caffeine if you can. Now, we have become a culture and a society of coffee drinkers. We have become a society of popping into the coffee house for a large coffee and a cake or a sticky bun. And when I was growing up, that culture wasn't around. And I have seen many people need that fix of caffeine. And some of the coffees that I have seen have been huge or very strong. Now, for every cup of coffee you drink, you deplete 2 glasses of water. So every cup of coffee that you drink will dehydrate you times 2. So it's important to drink water if you're going to drink coffee. And if you can, avoid drinking coffee, because that can give you a fix. It can give you a stimulation. It will stimulate you, and at the same time, it will create that anxiety that you are so familiar with. Avoid sugary drinks and food. Now, what I mean by sugary, and I'm going to be a little controversial here, even the low sugar drinks, because the low sugar drinks have aspartame, I think it is. Anyway, it has an unnatural sugar, and it causes more harm than it does good. And so it's easier and better for you to drink a sugary drink than to drink the drink with the false sugars, the lower sugar levels. And refined carbohydrates, so things like cakes, sticky buns, any baked goods, processed foods. There is a lot of conversation about processed foods, about those foods that you can just buy and put in the oven. And these foods have high levels of salt and sugar and lots of added E numbers and lots of additives that create a challenge in terms of bringing on an anxiety attack. If you limit your trans fats, which you mainly find in fried foods, your red meat and full fat dairy, as well as any baked goods like your cakes, your buns, anything that's baked will have a detrimental effect on your anxiety. So I've been looking at lots of things that aren't good for you. So let's look at what you can do, what would be good for you. Healthy diet consists of fruits and vegetables, whole grains and fish. Foods that are rich in magnesium, like leafy greens, such as spinach and Swiss chard. Other foods such as nuts, pulses, seeds, and whole grains. Foods that are rich in cashews, such as cashews and egg yolks. Now, I want to talk about something that's quite magical, the magic of tryptophan. You may not have heard of tryptophan, but you may have heard the word amino acids. There are 22 amino acids, and tryptophan is one of them. Now, what tryptophan does is it produces serotonin and melatonin. And these are the neurotransmitters that regulate our mood and sleep. They're known as mood enhancers, and they trigger our optimism and our happiness. Who would have guessed? Now, I learnt about tryptophan back in the late 80s, and that's because I was working at Holland & Barrett, which was a health store. And when I heard about tryptophan, I just thought it was amazing. And they used to sell L-tryptophan as a herbal supplement. And that was actually banned because it had negative effects if you took too much of it. And so that supplement was no longer available. And it certainly got banned in the US first, and then in the UK and the rest of Europe. So to get natural occurring tryptophan, it's good to take it in your foods. Now, would you believe me if I told you that bananas have a huge amount of tryptophan? And also eggs. Now, eggs are rich in B12 as well, which is also good to combat the anxiety experiences that you feel. Chickpeas are a rich source of tryptophan, as well as bananas, and they are a natural antidepressant. Seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and hemp seeds. So these are things, I almost feel like it's like your hack sack. If you had some of these things with you on your belongings when you're out and about, if you had a packet of sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds, and when you're feeling anxious, just chomp on some pumpkin seeds or have a banana or some fruit. Citrus fruits like grapefruit, oranges, they're high in vitamin C, and it also lowers cortisol, which lowers your physical and your psychological effect on anxiety and stress. Turmeric. There's lots of conversation about turmeric in today's times. It has an ingredient called curcumin, and that reduces inflammation. And when you are feeling anxious and stressed, it raises the acidity and inflammation in the body. And so when you take something like curcumin or turmeric, you can sprinkle it on anything in salads, in juices, and it really makes a massive difference in terms of inflammation, because when you are highly anxious, you will feel more acidic in the body, and this will start to alkalize your body. Brazil nuts are a high level of selenium and vitamin E, and also they will inhibit you feeling anxious. Drinks. Drink lots of water. At least 6 to 8 glasses of water every day. We are, depending on what research you read, 60 to 80 parts water. A baby is 90 parts water. And so when we drink water, we're nourishing and feeding our body. Now, when we are stressed and anxious, we dehydrate the body. And so if we drink water, we stop that dehydration. Many people that have headaches think that they have to take a pill to get rid of the headache. But usually it could be something as simple as being dehydrated. And if they had a glass of water, the headache would go. So drinks, peppermint tea, chamomile tea, and ginger tea. Ginger tea in particular has an anti-inflammatory effect. And what it will also do is it also calms you. And with the effect of ginger and curcumin coming from turmeric, those two ingredients, they reduce inflammation and they also energize. Now, when you are feeling anxious, what it will do is it will lower your energy. You'll almost feel deflated and have a low energy source. And because you're feeling low energy, it will be very hard for you to do your everyday things. In low energy, the reason for that is because all your energy is focused in the upper part of your body. It's here in the mind, and it's depleting your body of energy. And so what happens is when you're breathing in a shallow way, you're only feeding the upper part of your body, but your lower part of your body is suffering with no oxygen and almost being filled with carbon dioxide. So when you are in that state of anxiety, my invitation for you is to breathe. Breathe further down into the body. So looking at identifying triggers. Now, you will know if you suffer with anxiety what some of your triggers are. It might be a social gathering. It might be visiting family. It might be a certain work situation or certain times within a relationship. Or it might be when you visit a certain person. Or it might be times within that relationship or friendship that are difficult. It might be a difficult boss or a difficult colleague. You'll know the times that you feel that level of anxiety. I remember when I was at school and when it came to Sunday night, I would start to feel anxious about the Monday morning, about going into school. And one of the reasons for that was I was bullied at school. And so I would start to feel anxious and I would start to feel all the build-up, and it was still Sunday. I was still at mum's. I was still with my family. And it was because it was building up in my mind. And this is what happens when you are feeling anxious. It's a build-up of your thinking, analytical thoughts that are actually not true. They're not real. It's not there. So what are your triggers? Sometimes it can be food. If you drink something that's loaded with sugars, a very sugary drink, or if you've had a very rich meal, or if you've had a takeout like a pizza, or if you've had something that's junk food like a burger, how do you feel? Because junk food can really bring on anxiety because it gives you a massive peak and then a massive trough, and it can affect your mood and create a dip in terms of how you're feeling. So my invitation to you is to note your triggers. Note when you are feeling this way. Note when you have an anxiety experience. And when you start to become aware, rather than being unaware, when you become aware of when you experience anxiety, you can then start to deal with it in a different way. The first job is to become aware. You can't solve something that you're not aware of. So have a journal, a diary, and keep it private and write down the times that you felt anxious or what's made you feel anxious. It might even be making a purchase. It might even be changing your job or staying in a situation that's difficult to get out of. So write down and keep a note. It could be that when you socialise, that those anxiety feelings dissipate. And my invitation to you is to, when you are feeling a level of anxiety, is to step out of your comfort zone, step out of the situation, and take a step into a social situation, or change where you are. If you're inside, then go outside. If you're sitting thinking, then go outside and take a walk. If you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, in a conversation, stop, take a breath, and remind yourself that you are having a human experience. If you're feeling uncomfortable in a conversation, ask politely to leave the conversation and just note how you're feeling and what it was that made the trigger, what it was that made you feel anxious. And then talk to someone. It's important to share how you are feeling. Find that special someone or people that you can confide in terms of how you are feeling. In our today's society, we have found that many people, because of being in social media a lot, that they don't say how they really feel. They think things rather than express things. And this is because if you're looking at social media, especially on Facebook pages or any other TikTok, everybody's having fun. They're showing their best side. And you could be misconstrued that everybody is okay. In social media, what happens is people generally show their best things. They're showing up with when things are good. And they're generally not showing up and saying things when things are not working. So it gives you a false misrepresentation of their life, that everything looks good. They're all having a wonderful time. Money is flowing, family situations are really good, they're having fun, social gatherings. It might not always be like that. But the problem is, if that's all we see, and that's our internal representation of what their life is, we can feel that something is missing or something is wrong with our own lives. And so social media starts to put a pressure onto us as to what we think life should be rather than how it is. So find that person to confide in and share how you're feeling, because you might be surprised. You might be surprised to hear that they have some of the same feelings. You might be surprised to hear that they have some of the same challenges that you're having. And so feel brave to share when things aren't going right or when you're not feeling okay. I shared just recently before the show, I shared it's okay to not be okay, because when you're not okay, the world reflects that you're not okay. So when you become okay, the world reflects that you are okay. Today's society, especially when we're looking in social media terms, it looks like everybody is okay all of the time. And that's just not true. We all are here in a human experience, having a human journey. And we all have challenges. And a very good friend that was a Tibetan monk and a Lama, and he used to tell me that even the monks are in challenge on a daily basis, They challenge about all sorts of things. I used to think that the monks had it all sorted out and all worked out. If the monks are in challenge, then what makes you think that you can't be in challenges? It's more important to note how you react to the challenge and how you respond in terms of your feelings and emotions. I want to also describe water off a duck's back. You may have heard the term, oh, that's just water off a duck's back. If you are responding and reacting, and that's causing your anxiety, that's a trigger for you to look at to see what's bringing that up. Now, I'm a trained and qualified therapist, and it's not easy to work on your own triggers and your own stuff when it comes up, because you're too familiar with it and you're too close to it. And so seek a therapist to help you understand and work out why that trigger is coming up and why you're responding and reacting the way that you are. And then you can handle and change the behaviour of what's not working for you and find a behaviour that works better for you. So I have some anxiety hacks to share with you. Exercises, and a really, really simple exercise. I want you to simply, gently rock your head. So gently press the tip of your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. And your jaw will naturally fall. It will naturally relax on its own. And many of us hold our stress in our jaw. Our jaw becomes very tense. Here's another one. Tilt your head and roll clockwise and anti-clockwise, making it a full circle. Really, really lower your head and take it all the way back and move it all the way around. And this loosens your neck. Raise your eyebrows and drop them. Raise your eyebrows and drop them. This loosens your facial muscles. Shrug your shoulders. Really tense your shoulders and shrug them up and then drop them as if you're saying, oh, I don't care, I don't know. Move them up and drop them. And drop them, saying, I don't know. Leave them up for a little while, a few seconds before you drop them. This works. Your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders carry tension. And most of us are not aware of the tension that these places carry. And it's all in the upper facial area. And if you do those few exercises, you will feel different. When I was training in Qigong, which is the form for Tai Chi, this is what would be part of the warm-up, part of the relaxing of the body and the muscles. And I always felt different. It's amazing how we hold ourselves when we are feeling stressed and anxious. And so just to do those few simple exercises will make a huge difference. Now my next hack is music. Music can change our mood instantly. Listen to 3 of your favourite songs. Now, we are in a society and we live in a world where most people are in their phone screens and with their headsets on. So nobody will know you're listening to music. So listen to music, your favourite songs. Make a playlist and sing along. It will change your mood and you will feel different. Meditate. Breathing practices. I've shared many breathing practices in other shows, and I'm going to share a different breathing practice in this particular episode. which is called alternate nostril breathing. So if you cover one nostril like this, so have two fingers, your index finger and your next finger at the top of your nose, and then with your thumb cover one nostril and breathe in through the other. Hold and move the thumb and breathe out. Breathe in through that nostril and breathe out through the other. It's called alternate nostril breathing. And what this will do is lower the anxiety almost immediately. This will make you feel much calmer. This will also give you incredible relaxation and very, very deep sleep. When you are sleeping, when you are really sleeping, when you wake up, you will feel very refreshed. If you're not sleeping, it's because the thoughts haven't stopped. Do this nostril breathing for about 5 minutes and you will sleep like a baby. Reach out for any therapist that does cognitive behaviour therapy to look at why you're behaving the way that you are, to look at your triggers, because it's not easy to find your triggers when you're in them. Speak to a therapist. Speak to your doctor to see if they can recommend a therapist to you in your locality. I offer online sessions and I look at the root causes of what creates your stress and your anxiety and your symptoms. You might feel that you're not able to cope and you're alone with the anxiety that you experience. You will be surprised how many others are experiencing anxiety, especially the younger people today that are in their screens. I was very surprised to hear how many young people that I speak to have high levels of anxiety and are on medication for that anxiety. And it's a sad place to be that very young people in their early 20s and in their late teens are taking antidepressants when they could just chomp on some pumpkin seeds or some sesame seeds or a banana and feel different, or do some alternate nostril breathing and feel calmer rather than taking a pill. Now, this is an instead of, if your doctor has prescribed medication, it is important that you seek professional consultation with your professional doctor to come off the medication and to work with the doctor if you are taking any medication. This is not an either or. If you're not taking any medication, to use some of these principles and these practices and to change your diet to a more healthy one, to drink more water, will definitely curb your anxiety and make you live in a more peaceful way. There are many, many aspects to experiencing and living with anxiety. And I've only covered a small aspect of diet and some drinks, as well as a few natural things that you can do. But there are many, many things that can create your level of anxiety. And it's important to reach out and seek professional help with a therapist if you are comfortable, because sometimes it's more about sharing what you're feeling when it's out, when you've shared what's causing your anxiety. Sometimes it doesn't sound as bad as what it sounds in your head. And so it can be bigger when you are thinking about it and it don't voice the words. And when the words come out, it doesn't sound as bad as it does when it's inside your mind. So find that person to share your thoughts, your feelings, because it's the feelings that you're not experiencing and the emotions that are causing your anxiety. When there is no anxiety, the mind is calm and the mind feels peaceful. And sleep is an essential thing of no anxiety. When there is no anxiety, sleep is wonderful, and you'll wake up feeling refreshed and more able to cope with your day. Thank you for your attention and your interest. Please reach out and subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of my Talking Heads episodes on Talking Heads 2023 and 2024. I have a lot in 2023. So you can find all my episodes under Talking Heads and my name. Please do reach out if I may be of help to you. I offer a free 15-minute consultation and an introductory session, which is an hour for £50. It's a crazy introductory offer. Please do take me up on it, because you will feel the difference. I will identify the root causes that are creating the triggers for your anxiety. Thank you. Namaste.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program, where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.